Conservatives up 3% overnight. How thick is the coating of Teflon on Mark Carney? Well, I tell you, it can't be that thick because it's finally wearing thin. You can't be a tax dodger. You can't go out there and say, it's okay for me, but not for thee. I can avoid paying taxes. I can put my money and the company's money in Bermuda where there's no income tax, but you have to pay your taxes. I'm sorry, there's a double standard. There's a two-tiered justice system in this country, and there's a two-tiered finance system. So that's where we're at. And let's listen to Pierre Poilievre talk about this yesterday. I just love this.
Why I will end the Liberal two-tier tax system, where elites get loopholes and working people get audited, and I'm going to be putting hardworking Canadians first for a change. Here's how. 1, we will be naming a Bring It Home Economic and Tax Task Force, whose mandate will be to ensure that we close overseas tax havens and force the very wealthy to pay what they owe. That my task force will specifically propose solutions to close loopholes that allow tax havens to be a source of evading taxes for the well-connected and the global elite. I'll also direct CRA to reapportion the use of its staff. We're going to have fewer auditors going after charities and small businesses and more going after international tax evaders. The goal will be to collect an extra $1 billion from international tax havens and by closing the loopholes that enable them. We will create a public name and shame registry so that global, multinational, and billionaire tax dodgers are named and exposed so that everyone knows who they are. And we will expand the offshore tax informant program, giving whistleblowers up to 20% of recovered funds when they help expose illegal tax schemes.
This could net billions, not just $1 billion, but billions of dollars. And not only that, it could inspire some confidence. Before we leave today, I want to show you a couple of clips to see how bad Mark Carney is doing with the tax haven issue. He's not handling this well at all. Listen to this.
Hi, Mr. Carney. Abigail Beeman, CTV News. On tax havens in relation to Brookfield, you've said that you know how the world works. Should Canadians infer from that you wouldn't condemn the use of tax havens?
I'm very strong. I have a long career in the private sector. I have a longer career in the public sector. What's important is that we have a effective tax system, and that every company follows the rules of those tax to not just the letter but the spirit of those regulations. And we need to continue to refine our tax system to ensure that companies are paying their fair share of tax.
Yeah, companies are paying their fair share of tax. Mark Carney wasn't paying his fair share of tax. Brookfield Assets Management wasn't paying its fair share of tax. So yeah, it's a two-tiered system. And that was a pathetic answer from this man. He basically is admitting, yeah, the rules don't apply to me. And he's got the gall to suggest companies should be true to the letter and the spirit of the law when his company was true to neither. That's why I'm enthused about Poilievre's promise to bring these corporate tax bums to heel. Because this has got to stop, this capitalist cronyism. Corporate cronyism, whatever you want to call it, corporate welfare bums. These people who think they don't have to pay tax and everybody else does. Let's come to a point where nobody's paying corporate tax, but while we were paying corporate tax, they had better play by the rules. Let's go after these people. This is what Poilievre is saying. I 100% agree with it. Here's what he said last night. This is good too.
Today, this is breaking news.
Mark Carney was asked point blank if, as Prime Minister of Canada, he would condemn tax havens, international tax havens in the Caribbean, where multinational corporations stash their cash to avoid paying what they owe. Now, for the first time in the history of Canada, a Prime Minister was unwilling to condemn these international tax havens for multinationals and billionaires. Just today, he dodged the question just like he dodged his taxes. And you know why? Because he's in a conflict of interest. He has billions of dollars of his company assets stashed away in Bermuda in a post office box above a bicycle shop. You know, he didn't put the money there because it's nice weather in Bermuda. He put it there because Bermuda is known as the most flagrant tax haven anywhere on earth. And his company has been called Canada's biggest tax dodger. Now, that would be a terrible thing for him to have in his past, but it's not the past. It's the present. He continues to have millions of dollars invested in this company, which is hiding its money away from paying taxes. So let's get this straight. While the police officers here in the Soo, or that waitress who's struggling to feed her kids, or the small businesses that are hanging on by a thread, are forced to pay high Liberal taxes, Mark Carney, our Prime Minister, is still invested in tax havens that dodge his bill. My friends, that is not putting Canada first. That is not the change we need. We need a new Conservative government that will put our taxpayers first for a change.
Yeah, 100% agree. Yeah, when I come back after this brief message for the store, my concluding remark. Hey, isn't that great material? Isn't that great gear? Lovely. I think it's the best material. I say that every day, but I mean it. And please, if you buy some of this stuff, put it on, get a picture of yourself and send it to me. Send it to me, and I will happily put it up. And I know I've got to make sure. Maybe some of you are sending them in, and I'm missing them. I'm going to have a better look today. But I'm going to leave you with this today. Poilievre's going to make more than $1 billion if he cracks down on people like Mark Carney and others who are sending their profits to Bermuda and other tax havens so they don't have to pay taxes in Canada. And I tell you, why is this a smart strategy? Why is this a smart strategy? Because it's not just a conservative issue. It's not just a small c conservative issue. It attracts people on the left as well who say, yeah, why should these big companies be getting away with not paying their taxes when I have to pay my taxes? Go back to 1972, David Lewis, leader of the New Democratic Party at that time. His campaign slogan was, "Stop the corporate welfare bums." So this is something that resonates across the political spectrum. And I think it's a winning issue for Pierre Poilievre. I think he can tie this together if he stops listening to the idiots in the communications department who want him to talk about Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump all day long, and starts listening to that inner voice that speaks about change and freedom, making Canada the freest country in the world. Remember Poilievre used to say that every Axe the Tax rally? That's where he needs to be. And that's where I think he's finally listening to that voice again. Thanks for watching today, folks. I'll be back again tomorrow, same time, same place. God bless, Godspeed, and I'm David Creighton. Thank you.